Yeah, my name is Benedict. I'm actually head of sales at Instafreight,
Okay.
the digital freight forwarding company.
Yeah.
And in a couple of seconds, I want to explain a bit more what differs between a digital freight forwarding company and an, still existing normal freight forwarding company.
And where are you based?
Berlin-based.
Berlin.
We have offices in Poland and Hamburg.
Poland. Oh, Hamburg. Yeah, makes sense. And where in Poland? Gdansk, or where are you?
Legnica.
Okay. And why there?
Because it's a strategic hotspot for logistics in Eastern Europe.
Okay. Did you see the other pitch of the logistics company before?
Synfio?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually kind of friends because we are both parts of the IoT accelerator of SAP.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. Okay, cool. And what does it mean to be friends?
It's basically adjacent, not business models, but we as well as have track and trace solutions. And there is a knowledge exchange between both startups.
Okay, so you have different kind of solutions for the same kind of customers.
For shippers, yes, as well as logistics companies.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we both needed to exchange our knowledge in terms of how to proceed with accelerators or big corporates like SAP when it comes to development and integrations into their ERP systems.
Okay, very nice. So what's your personal KPI? Because you're head of sales, so you're very KPI driven. So what is your goal for this pitch?
It's basically growing customer base, so as well as carrier base. So it's a two-sided market, and I'm eager to actually grow the business with both parties. Like chicken and egg problem, right?
Okay, very good. So I think we warmed them up a little bit with the short conversation, right? Yeah. You see them all excited and cheering, and okay, now let's start. One tip for you, because of the beamer. Yeah. If you stand in the middle, then you get blinded by the beamer. So I want to ask you for an applause for the next pitch, the second round of pitches here on the Corporates Meets Startup Day as part of the Asia Pacific Week. Please give it up for Instafreight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm going to explain what we are basically finding in the European freight forwarding market when it comes to the road. So we are a freight forwarding company for road freight within the European Union. And what do we see there? Like just today, it's a huge market, as you all might be already have been confronted with logistics problems. And what we see right now is that it's a very fragmented market, since the 10 top players just have like a market share of roughly like 6%. What this means is like ideal playground for startups, right? Because that gives you like room for innovations. What we see next is like that there's many intermediaries in the market. So whenever logistics companies is not able to actually deliver the promises, they would not get back to you and say like, no, we're not able to ship this stuff for you. They're going to sell it. And if these guys cannot manage to ship it, they sell it again. And there you have like the so-called, like in German, Sofa-Spediteure that take a share out of it without doing anything, rather than introducing the loads to somebody else. What else do we see? It's a decrease of quality. So the more intermediaries you see, the less or the more bad the quality gets. So what do we see in the future? Or not only us, but as well as experts in the market. They see that there's a trend towards platform businesses, as we actually are, facing a two-sided market. Next, they see that digital technologies can actually help growing businesses out of this, and autonomous driving. You all have already heard about this when it comes to, for instance, Daimler or as well as Siemens. Everybody speaks about it. It's like a hot topic and a hot button for everyone. And by 2030, we think that there will be a replacement of drivers, but not yet. We still need them, like especially us or our partners, our carriers. So where does Instafreight sit basically? It's a two-sided market. So we are right in the middle, connecting shippers and carriers. There might be freight exchanges right now, just as Timocom, TransEU and other ones, that are more or less like classified. So people find loads and can negotiate, but there's no security layer in between and no third party that actually is helping reducing the search costs. And we basically receive loads from our shippers, and we give loads to carriers, as well as receiving capacity from our carrier network and giving it to the shippers. And how do we do that? We do it with either like a web platform. I'm going to show this in a second. We do this via API with partners like SAP as well. And we personally have recurring and spot business. Spot business is basically if you have like just 33 pallets just today. Recurring business if you have this like on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. We have a real-time price algorithm. That means usually you just send an email to a logistics company saying like, hey, I have 33 pallets, so one full truckload from, let's say, Hamburg to Munich. And within like 2 hours, you receive like a quote. You can say, hey, let's do this. And then you share some documents, and the truck will arrive. We have this like in an automated manner, meaning whenever you have a zip or postal code, you just simply type it in, and within a 10th of a second, you receive a quote, and you can book right away as you are shopping shoes or accordingly. With the carrier, we also connected. What we receive from him is basically telematic data, meaning we have to know wherever the truck is in order to actually bring the information to the shipper. Same as SynView, for instance, that the shipper in the next age has to know whenever the truck may arrive, and we want to actually gather all the data from our carriers to have full transparency about where the trucks actually are. There's networks like groupage networks. Whenever there's like from 1 to 6 pallets, there are big networks, just as cab services. We are connected to 4 of them in Germany, meaning we can deliver 1 to 6 pallets within the European Union to actually every spot, like Lisbon, for instance. So I'm just rather making it quick now. So price quotation, order placement, track and trace, order management and document management is basically what we offer to our shippers as well as to our carriers. So within one platform, you can bid on loads, you can receive loads, you can pull loads, and you can actually see it as a freight exchange, but managed. So we are always insurance partner as well as contracting partner to both ends, and that makes us quite unique. So what you can see here is like big news in 2019. We actually optimized our product portfolio towards the large customers meaning enterprises. So as I'm standing here at Siemens, for instance, this is like tailored to their needs and other, for instance, DAX companies. You can see that we have a tender management platform. There are 4PL logistics specialists that help people with tenders. So we have a dedicated platform where we receive all the requests and help them as consultants. Next to that, we have the control tower where you can organize and orchestrate all your loads and shipments. Next to that, we have like the so-called digital supply chain. So document handling is a big thing. As of now, you send the PODs in a paper manner or send it via fax. We don't want this in the future. And then there's like the connectivity thing. So when it comes to automation, we are highly dependent on, for instance, Transporion or SAP to help us connecting with our clients. So that's the team behind it. So what we do as kind of a unique secret sauce is we connecting like digital specialists with experts from the market. So for instance, like people from DB Schenker or TransEU connect with people that actually have seen consultancies or have been into e-commerce to connect the dots to create unique tribes and teams to optimize workflows. Next to that, some facts. What we did in the past, so we just recently opened our Poland office in order to be nearer to the carrier centrums. And as you see here, this is like our heat map of transports we actually did in the past 2 years. So we are actually tackling the European Union. We will stay to the European Union and help customers and carriers optimizing their fleet or their logistics management.
Yes. Thank you so much.
I think it was more than 4 minutes.
Interesting that you mentioned. I think it was for them. But did you actually also practice before and then recorded how much time it took? Or
actually, I needed to cut out some slides. Yes.
Okay. Because that's always a good tip. If you just do it one time in front of somebody or have a stopwatch, then you know exactly. Because usually it takes longer than you think. Because 4 minutes sounds a lot, but it's actually okay. Any questions? Because of course it's Instafreight. nobody from Asia Pacific who says, okay, this sounds really interesting, we need to talk? Or I know logistics company that might be interested? Not yet? Okay, then think about it further. Thank you so much, Instafreight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Next one up, I hope I pronounce it correctly. Spherity? Yeah, is that correct? Yeah. And your name is, sir? Oh, yeah, you have to turn it on.
Now it's on? Yeah.
Yes, it's on.
I'm Georg Jürgens, and yeah, I work for Spherity.
Yeah.
And I will present you how we create interoperability across systems by using digital twins.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Digital twins.
Yes.
Yes, industry.
Yeah, industry, IoT.
Yeah, digital twins in the sense of, can you explain?
Yeah, I will explain in a pitch.
Yeah.
So you will.
Actually, will you do that? Because usually people talk about digital twins, and I'm like, digital twins? I mean, but then they skip that part and go right to the solution. But you will explain.
I hope you will understand it after 4 minutes.
If I understand, everybody will.
Give me 4 minutes, then
okay.
You will learn.
Okay.
So yes, I'm Georg Jürgens. I work for Spherity. This pitch is mainly addressed to leaders who want to digitalize their business, and to investors that have an hypothesis about digital identity. So the core problem is when I today want to rent a car from a car sharing company, I have to identify and authentify myself every time I use it with a new service provider. The service provider, on the other hand, has to do this process every time a new customer onboards to the system. So that's painful for the service provider. He has to build system registries and run those systems. And on the other hand, he loses customers in this registration process. There's a car sharing provider in China. He lost 70% of customers during the registration process. For the users, it's painful because every time you travel somewhere, you need to register somewhere. Float is solving this problem, but what we are addressing is that there is no identity layer on the internet. We need to rethink how identities are managed in centralized systems. What we do is we provide every kind of entity. It can be a car, charging pole, wind turbine, smart meter, or humans, in digital and decentralized identifier. Imagine that these entities have a website or web address, and behind this web address you will find more information about this entity, and this information is verifiable by third parties. This enables those identities to be addressable and verifiable on the internet. Oh, that was too far. So what we are doing is we link those digital twins. That's how we call identities in combination with verifiable data to a trust layer. This can be a blockchain. It can be a decentralized network of some consortium, example, a mobility ecosystem, where the fleet operator, the vehicle, the user, insurance company have a digital identity, and then they can interoperate with each other and make business transactions and share data without knowing each other in the first place. The verification process is completely automated and machine readable. With that, we enable and create use cases in the fields of energy by creating audit trails in the energy market to automate settlement processes, or we create machine passes, for example, a car pass, to share data between value chain partners. And this data sharing is realized completely privacy preserving, that the data owner always stays under control of this data. What we also do is we create verifiable data chains for insurance processes that they can check claims. We now build a testbed where you can onboard consortium partners and simulate ecosystems to have this kind of experience to work with digital identities. On the other hand, we are also working to create, to offer this kind of identity management as a license model or as a subscription fee that you can utilize our competence. So what we do, to sum up, we create digital identities, we make them verifiable, we enable business transactions between those identities, and then we can create audit trails of those interacted identities. Thank you very much.
Very good pitch. I think you practice this a lot, right?
One or two times, yeah.
Yeah, but really good, really clear. So, questions? Yeah, Martin, yeah. The microphone for the other people.
Yeah. How do you manage the identification with the actual thing, especially? I mean, not only people, you give a password, that's kind of like, okay, but a thing, how do you...
You need to have some kind of identifier. That can be a serial number, it can be an RFID chip, it can be a QR code. You need to have a cyber-physical link. That's required, because otherwise you can't have those connections.
Falsify?
I could falsify a QR code. I could say I'm that machine, but the machine is over there.
Yeah, that's no. Yeah, you can. What we do is, in the first place, so we are in the development phase. So what we do in the first place, we link backend systems. So in the first place, we assume we trust the backend data of the systems, and your machine is somehow also linked to the backend systems within your company. And so we take out these. For example, we connect to SAP systems where your machine is registered. And then we link and make this data within this SAP system addressable from the outside.
So that means that's basically a B2B solution.
Yeah,
for B2C, it doesn't really...
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome.
For your pitch and being here. A little bit of applause might not hurt. Travel, the next company that is going to pitch. Hello, sir. What was your aim today?
Thank you for having me. My name is Matthias, and
Yes.
I'm here for TravelM.
Yeah.
And my aim is to make you understand that corporate travel management is usually struggle and flawed for many corporates, and that we have a solution that may help them.
Corporate travel management.
Exactly.
Would we only have somebody who took care of that? But in corporates, it is a pain. Okay, I'm very interested to hear more. Good luck.
Thank you very much. So corporate travel management sounds very corporate. It is very corporate. TravelM is a success story that shows you what happens when a corporate identifies a problem and then tackles it with startup people and a startup mindset. So corporate travel management usually happens in siloed processes, and they form hard barriers between the single steps involved in such a process. It's hard work, a huge administrative effort, and costs lots of money. The workflows involved are usually from an analog era, and hence require paperwork and leave a huge paper trail that has to be processed by people. And the legacy travel systems we use are very frustrating for the employees who are traveling to use, time-consuming, and afterwards filing expense report is a very frustrating manner as well. So this is what a typical corporate travel management ecosystem looks like. You have a corporate travel manager that has to manage usually 4 players at least. It's a booking provider that has all the content like flights, hotels, rental cars. You have a service provider you can call or email if something goes wrong or you want to have a manual booking. Usually you have a payment provider that's your credit card or something else. And you have an expense provider where you can file your expenses, your taxi receipts, whatever you need. And those are usually connected by a travel manager and have to be kept in sync. It's a huge effort. They're usually struggling to do so. And it's a very, very complex process that many corporates haven't digitized yet. So what TravelM tries to do is to take away that pain by integrating all these processes into an ecosystem that we manage for you. And then you only have to integrate that ecosystem with the corporate HR systems where you usually get your customer data from, like your employee number or your address where your invoice goes. And then you also have to, of course, integrate it with the corporate finance systems, so you can have the correct invoices with the finance systems to get them paid, and afterwards in controlling all those things that a corporate does. Corporate travel manager is happy. He only has to manage one ecosystem and not all the players in the ecosystem. And that basically, what we do, we call that travel management as a service. The effect of that is that it's fully digital and it's also end-to-end integrated. That means by doing so, at Daimler, for example, we had a reduction of incorrect rental car invoices by over 40%, which is immense. If you think about what a corporate travel manager has to do in order to call the rental car company and have the invoice corrected, it's a manual process. We have that fully digitized now, and it's just working. So it's admin-free as well. You don't have to do anything. It just works for you in the background, and the magic is happening without you touching it. Thank you very much. Oh, wait, I have another slide, sorry. Of course, we won't stop there. Being Daimler, we wanted to integrate mobility assets. We have a lot of them, and we want to integrate them so you don't have to pay your taxi yourself and have the invoice or the receipt manually entered into the system. We want to do that for you as well. Magic happening in the background. The taxi receipt is already paid for you. You don't have to basically get reimbursed for your taxi, and we can do so with other processes that want to be part of a corporate travel ecosystem as well. So now I can thank you, and hope you have a few questions. It's corporate.
No corporates here who are curious to learn more about the travel solution?
If nobody asks anything, I have to ask some technical questions. So how do you do the implementation on both the right and the left side, so the ERP systems and so on? You provide an API and they just log on, or is there already an SAP system that you integrate? Or
if you were talking about a startup, that would be the case. If we're talking about a corporate, so they usually have their own systems. Each corporate has their own system, so we need to go there and integrate it, which is usually work that is time-consuming again, and we do that with you. We integrate the ecosystem once, and then it works.
Thank you, Travel M. Next one up, already in line over there. We're there Tuesday, Asia Pacific Week on Tuesday. We did coming running through the audience towards the stage. Would you feel like that, or you'd say, well, that's not your... Oh, that's... But he came forward. I said SunCrafter, and he stepped forward.
Maybe he's applying?
He's applying. Okay. Sure. Okay. But you're now already here. Take the microphone. Yes. Thank you. Great. So, can we have a big applause so that the startups feel a little bit ready to pitch? Yes. Good, good, good. Good that you're here. Big up for SunCrafter.
Hey. Yeah. Hi, everyone. To wake you up, I'd like to ask you a question. What do you think is disruptive innovation? Quick answer. Someone? You know the answer? You know the answer?
Putting the dinosaurs out of place.
Okay, so you're pretty much saying disrupting a market and like pretty much getting out the incumbent businesses. Well, the original definition of disruptive innovation is targeting those people at the bottom of the pyramid, targeting low-profit markets, and from there making your way up. So targeting the ones that the dinosaurs don't want to target because they're just not worth it. Just keep that in mind. So what is SunCrafter doing? We're occupying ourselves with two problems. On the one hand, while we're sitting here, about 1 billion people have zero access to electricity, 300 million of those living in Southeast Asia. On the other hand, thousands and 10,000s of solar modules are discarded every year, many of them prematurely. They're not at the end of their physical lifetime at all. And I believe disruptive innovation is going to be the necessary solution to many of our global problems. SunCrafter's solution is based on technology. We have developed a technology that allows us to transform standard solar modules, used or normal new ones, into highly robust, completely maintenance-free off-grid solar generators. That brings many positive features and allows our products to serve different markets. The products are called Easy Panel, describing its main feature, maintenance-free, very easy, you don't need tech know-how. And the Solar Hub, which is actually standing right over there, and you're very invited to use it to charge your phones, for example, if ever you run out of power during this event. The first market we have tackled is events and festivals in Germany. So there's actually a need for off-grid power even here in our developed world. The next market we're tackling is city infrastructure. Solar hubs for micro-e-mobility, for easy energy infrastructure in the city, which is maybe something that could be interesting in Asia as well, because I know you have a lot of dockingless e-scooters in Asia. And this is an idea of recharging them in a very easy and sustainable way. But what we originally came up for with this technology was to bring access to power to the people who really, really have no access. So the people who live in the most remote areas in the world. And that's, as I said, these remote households, farms, but also refugee camps and people who live in disaster areas. I think that we have come up with a pretty good technological solution. The problem with these solutions is, and the problem for startups is, by ourselves we can't do this, right? We can come up with something, but no one sees us, no one knows what we're doing. And for that we need corporates. We need them to help us scale, to help us gain visibility, to access policy. And I think, that's a pretty good trade. We can give corporates access to disruptive innovation because by definition they don't have access to that by themselves. And they can give us access to bring our impactful and good solution to a large amount of people worldwide. So this is my suggestion. And if you're interested in the technology, in renting the Solar Hub, in supporting our mission, then feel free to get in touch. Let's have a coffee together. Thank you.
Any questions?
One question about sustainability, because we tend to shift our waste over to the third world, if I call it like that. And I see that in renewable energy with the solar modules as well, because there's trade going on with recycled or recyclable solar panels. Thank you. So I'm afraid of them being dumped in Southeast Asia after their use that you described very well. Thank you.
That's a legit point. We're just participating in the Solar E-Waste Challenge, and we know that, e-waste recycling is a very energy-intensive, very expensive process. In Europe, we have a recycling duty, but it's not really fulfilled. We prefer to ship it somewhere else. But I think when you look at waste, it's reduce, reuse, recycle, and reuse. So we're coming in one step before. So we're reducing solar e-waste from the start. There's going to be less waste because we're reusing them as solar generators. And then we are also reducing the solar waste because these systems are pretty much unbreakable. When I say maintenance-free, I mean they're actually running for decades without any further interference. So it's going to take a very, very long time for them to become waste. We might not even be around anymore for it.
Well, great, I guess. Another question? Final question? Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay. You're the only curious person, probably.
Stupid tech question again. So you got a battery in there as well and a full cycle system, or?
No, it's not. So it's a system that consists of one unit, which is the panel. So it's a system, you plug in your device, your low voltage device. This is a 200 watt, 12 volt system directly into the panel. So the output is regulated in a certain way without like actually being vulnerable at all. But in the solar hub that you're seeing standing there, obviously we provide battery buffer. But we don't really want to make it this. It's not a traditional solar home system as you know it from Mobisol, for example. It's really a panel that can provide power whenever the sun shines, and people are free to do with it what they need at the time. So no incorporated battery, because batteries can fail, and our main point is the system can't fail.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? What's your background? What did you do before? Why did you decide to do SunCrafter?
Well, I'm not the tech person, unfortunately, but I studied public policy, and I'm quite immersed in sustainable development, sustainable growth, and social enterprise. So that's what I studied, wrote my thesis about. So that's an interesting concept for me, and I'm really into energy. My dad is a solar engineer, and yeah. So this is, I don't know, we're bringing together the tech world and the impact world, and SunCrafter is where we met.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Give it up for SunCrafter. So hoping, I'm now looking at the right person if I announce the next startup, but I will look there. FCeller? Yeah, okay, that's you, okay. Very nice. So give a big up for FCeller.
Thank you. Here you go. Hello, my name is Björn. This is Bernhard, and we are working. We are working in Lab 1886 from Daimler AG. We are driven by the idea to use Daimler latest fuel cell technology to disrupt the global diesel generator market. Going green has become a global necessity. Green mobility, green production, and green energy is in everybody's business room. Governments are setting goals, big companies are committing outspoken. We think there is still a problem of diesel generators. Unlike in Germany, in many countries, electricity is not reliable. And diesel generators are covering electricity problems. They are loud and they are pollutant. And the problem is still getting bigger. We have a solution, and we want to build fuel cell generators with the latest Daimler technology in the non-automotive sector. Hydrogen and oxygen can produce clean energy without emissions and provide good TCO. We have gone a long way. In 2017, we have participated in a board challenge, and from 930 projects, we came out top, received last year in the middle Shark Tank approval, gone out of our jobs. Here you see Bernhard, myself, and Steven, who is handling our development. And we have built a robust business case 360. The approach we want to undertake is a two-step approach. Part of the problem is that the fuel cell components need to be scaled. The market ready for scaling is the material handling sector. In Europe, we want to start there. The target is to address the Indian market to provide backup power in the lower power range in India. We have built with our small team and a very limited budget in record speed a prototype from designing, packaging, sourcing worldwide components, and assembling an 80-volt system which includes superior Daimler technology and can power a forklift. In the market of Europe, we see high potential. Fuel cell systems are already used in the US market, but we think we can grab market share in Europe to start our scaling. Finally, at the second step, we heard if you make it in India, you make it everywhere. We want to address the Indian backup power market. We have performed a 3 months intensive study, talked to 20 companies, governmental agencies, and we see a clear demand for green solutions. India is aggressively doing policy making which drives change. They want to go green, they need to go green, and big companies like Indus Tower are committing very bold goals.
We already achieved a lot, but there's already a way forward that we see. So we will generate a second generation of our material handling system by mid-2020, and there will be a pilot project in India with a telecom product beginning of next year. So we also want to build up trust in our whole fuel cell story. And from a structural point of view, we offer you a really good business opportunity as an investor, as a supplier, or even as an R&D development partner. The backup with Daimler would be the supply of fuel cell technology, as well as multiple network possibilities with all our experts. Financial trust will come from our really detailed business case, in which our small new plant entity is planning to have break even in 2023. So all in all, we invite you to be partner of our fuel cell story. We will develop and design fuel cell products based on the latest Daimler fuel cell technology. You will get us as a team highly motivated to bring fuel cells to success. And if you are passionate about going green, and if you have also want to grab a business opportunity, we are very happy to discuss with you financial contributions to any total funding range we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, in the material handling sector, they are normally 1 meter, 80 centimeters, 70. It depends on the battery size because they are designed to substitute the battery. In the telecom sector, you normally have a rack design, which includes several energy modules, which then, depending on the customer need, provide exactly the energy needed for a certain telecom tower so that the energy does not break down.
Is it green or is it chemical disaster?
The hydrogen used it is hydrogen, yeah, and this depends obviously on the source of production, yeah. You can create hydrogen with wind or with solar, but what is important for this industry is that we get this industry going. In the mobility sector, I just want to make the point that we strongly believe that the stationary market is the market which will first scale in fuel cells, and we need scaling to bring the costs down of the components. Sorry.
Hey, thanks. I have an application-related question. For example, you might know Odisha in the east of India was just hit by a terrible cyclone. So there was no electricity for 2 weeks, which hospitals, diagnostic centers were powered with diesel generators. Compared to diesel, how much of the liquid hydrogen would I need to store and how much space would that take up? And is it possible to store this large amounts even?
So I will answer that question. So hydrogen can be stored in a liquid way, but also in a gas way, so compressed gas. And it depends really on the country where we want to go with the products. In industrial countries, you have already the capability to use liquefied hydrogen. And also big tanks, and it will last, I mean, at the fuel stations, it will last for a couple of weeks. Compressed hydrogen will be the case for, let's say, India, for example. And there you can also have, like, it depends really on the size of the tank that you can have power.